one hole so that they can pull vacuum through that hole, and then they'll take their layout and stuff and they'll pull their second PVA bag over the other hole,
Oh, okay.
which honestly is pointless, because if you just leave the PVA bag, the first PVA bag loose in there,
Yeah,
the whole thing is gonna get vacuumed.
right.
So-
That's how these guys did it, right?
That's what we're gonna do here, yeah, because it's the better way. Because if you don't, then you've gotta worry about drilling out the pylons, because they're always gonna get filled up with plaster.
Oh, so they'll be heavier, I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Towel is here.
That's big enough. Pass those around if you want. You just go be in the way with a wet towel. Usually I only have to do two at a time, but at this point I gotta maximize, so. The first, otherwise all the water in the plaster is gonna get sucked into the PVA bag. PVA bag is going to disintegrate.
so this is for breaking down resin, or is this?
No, sealing,
Oh, sealing.
sealing resin, or sealing plaster.
Okay.
So we roll up our PVA bags
Wait, why are we putting them in the towel?
because they'll get wet and they'll get soft and stretchy,
Oh, okay.
and that makes it so that we can pull them over the sockets easier. So, and there's, usually you don't want a towel that's got a bunch of hard pieces of plaster in it, because you don't want holes in your PVA bag. But we only have the one towel, it seems.
I don't think it matters. Yeah.
And then these are so 6 minutes, but
Ish.
if it goes over, so like if you're working on something and it's like.
It's not, like I said, I've seen them sit in the towel for over the weekend.
So is it like 6 minutes at least?
Kinda.
Okay.
It's not a 6 minute. There's a seam on these PVA bags, and that seam needs to go posterior. And sometimes PVA bags will give you what's called a false seam. It's where the seam impression is pushed in so well to the other side of the PVA bag that you think that's the seam, and you go and you do your job, and then you turn it around and go, oh, it's over there. You pull it off, and you have to do it again. Not the end of the, not so. 6 minutes, a little more. Wrinkly and clear, stretchy. There's that seam. Sometimes you can tell because the pieces come to a corner there. You can also see, like right here, is where that seam was laying against, and it kind of looks like the seam. So PVA bags come in two, well, they have a shiny side and a dull side. So if you look at the side that's facing outward right now, and reflect light off of it, you can see it's pretty shiny. You do the same thing on the inside, reflect light off it, you can see it's kind of a matte finish. Humans don't have shiny legs, so I don't make shiny sockets unless it's requested, or it's got a custom pattern on the outside or something. But, so the first bag is going to be the inner bag. We're going to turn inside out. So that matte finish will be on the inside of our socket.
How easy is it to make?
Pretty easy. So now, the non-shiny side is out. And when it's wet, it's still kind of, sometimes it can be kind of hard to tell which is which, but they always come shiny side out. So if you just get in the routine of, okay, it's the first bag, so we invert that one. It's the last bag, we don't invert that one. Okay, next powder. We don't need a ton. grab it there. Do that. Now, there's a bag that's ready to slip over. Hey, socket. Pause me.
Did you show us our where you put the powder in?
I did, yeah.
Just pour it in the bag.
What powder?
Oh, it's talcum.
Talcum powder.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
thank you.
that's okay.
There we go. So let's pull a PVA bag. Let's rip on me. Usually you want to get this part down over the edge there, and you know you're going to start. And the rest of it is just working it. Work the front, work the back. Powder is well done, it'll slide over.
Is that to help it get around you, it's the powder?
Yeah. Just in case I can knock over myself.
Is there any downside to putting extra powder in there?
Yeah, you'll get ridges. The powder will build up as you're pulling it over, and you'll get visible ridge lines, and you can actually feel them. We don't have to go very far because the bag's kind of small. But you want your bag to come up over this. You can kind of stretch it like that. Now when I pull it, this part down to here, it'll become a much smaller circle. I didn't stretch it out to the point where it was going to break. You noticed? See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
If I keep going, it'll get bigger in this part. If I went all the way up to here, it'd be smaller. See, and I stretched it so that when I got to the point of that stretch,
Oh, you knew where to stop.
it's got a smaller circle. Smaller circle is better because we're going to take a piece of this.
Right, instead of
Cap it.
pulling it all the way down, you were able just to stretch the top part at that point to shorten it to make it down.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Got it.
This usually takes a lot of exertion. Get your hands on there, nice and flat. Use the palms and pull it down. All right, so that's where I want it
And how do you know that?
because the circle is small enough that I can cap it with confidence. So I'll fit it. Usually I'll take a piece of this and use it as the cap, but I haven't got much left of that. Didn't have to pull it down very far because these are small bags. Usually for something like this, I use a 10-inch bag. This is a 6-inch.
How far down does it have to go? Down to this disc?
Nope. Has to go down so we can.
Oh, okay.
Actually, this one doesn't matter because we're just going to cut it off.
Oh, okay.
After we do the layup, we'll do our second bag, and then we're going to tape it off. And that's where we'll get
Gotcha.
vacuum.
Gotcha. First bag.
Now, when making a cap, you don't want the seam in the middle of your cap. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's not ideal either. And if you've got powder all over your cap material, it ain't gonna stick. So go rinse it off. PVA glue. All this is water with this chopped up, put in there, run through the microwave, it dissolves, and you get PVA glue, which is also Elmer's glue. It's PVA glue, just a lot more intense. Pieces of PVA bags.
Oh.
You can make your own, and I got the seam right in the middle of it. And sometimes this is easier with two people, especially at first. You know, I'll take 2 corners, you take 2 corners, and we'll stretch it down. You take that PVA glue, watery. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. Usually it's kind of slimy. Take your bag, pull it over like that. You hold it. You think it's stuck. Let go, and then you do that. And the heat from your hands will activate that and stick it even better.
And what did, I missed the part with the seam, where did the seam go?
Seam is always posterior.
No, you said the plastic.
You don't usually want the seam in your PVA cap, because then if you look at the bottom of the socket, you're gonna see it.
So you're saying just to make sure it's flat on top
Yeah.
and there's no seam? Okay, gotcha.
It's not the end of the world. I mean, the socket's gonna have this liner in it anyway.
Yeah.
So is it-
Certainly not a do-over type of mistake.
If it gets all this surface area glued, you don't need to bring these flaps down. and
No,
glue
we'll trim
too.
those.
Okay.
Now be careful when you're trimming your PVA, because if you pull it away to get that nice even trim, sometimes you can pull it to the point where it's actually pulling the PVA it's stuck to out, and when you cut through that instead. So just a good rule of thumb, keep an eye on that. Oh, we got all this frilly bits. What do we do with that, huh? Take our PVA glue and just kind of work it around there, and then take that. You can use your fingers to do something like that. Hold it for a second or two. And then our cap should. Stick. If this is matte, make sure your cap is matte. You don't want a shiny end on a non-shiny cast. That's kind of weird looking. And when your cap is wet and you're trying to do that, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
So even with the lamination impregnating it, it's not gonna fill out any of those little, like if there's little imperfections and stuff, it's not gonna fill that in. It will.
It's too small. You've stretched it too much. Sometimes you can get rid of it with a heat gun, but honestly, not worth it. It will show up in the socket. Once again, not going to count off. Not going to hurt the structural integrity of the socket or its usability. So that is ready to go. Once I trim the bottom here. Notice I'm leaving a skirt. I'm not trimming it real close. Okay, that's the socket ready to go.
And is that skirt supposed to be specifically to the top of the pipe or just?
Just needs to be
Two.
inch or two. So our next bag will come down and we'll tape it off around here. And that way the vacuum comes through and it pulls vacuum inside this and outside this. So that it pulls the resin through the layup.
So I'm
Resin
just-
inside and